the first ever edition of a live Patriots mock draft. Alex Barth, Evan Lazar, Patriots Beat Podcast. We're going to do a live mock draft here tonight. I just wanted to kind of set the stage, a little dramatic reveal, as Alex put it, before we get into it. We're hoping 3 of these, maybe 4, if we're going to get to that point. And what we're going to do is we're going to sort of go over different scenarios with each mock draft. So tonight we're going to look at trade up scenarios for quarterbacks. That's obviously what everybody is talking about. So we're going to do that this evening. In the future, we'll do a mock where they stick at 15. We'll do a mock where they trade back, and we'll kind of just change every single time. We'll change sort of the approach that the team is going to take going into the draft. So again, tonight is the trade up. In the future, we'll do this sticking at 15, moving back. But Alex, after free agency, I put a tweet out there. I think everybody's got this take at this point. It's pretty hard to find immediate glaring holes besides quarterback on this roster, right? And then you look at all these things the Patriots have done, it does sort of feel like they set their team up both on offense and defense to make a big move for a quarterback that now can just kind of parachute in and have this much better situation already in place for him with the 2 tight ends and everything like that. So that's how and let me add, not just that they're set up to add a quarterback, but they're set up. They only have 10 open roster spots right now. Right. With 10 draft picks. And then you have UDFAs. Probably every draft pick isn't going to make the team, but you don't want to draft guys who don't have who like you can't numerically get on your roster. So they're not just in a spot for quarterback. They are in a spot right now to trade up in the draft and consolidate some of these draft picks, which we'll be doing tonight. Exactly. And add picks for future years, which we also hope to do tonight too. Right. And the other big thing I will add to that, I agree with you 100%, is that this year in particular, with no combine, with no in-person top 30 visits, there's not a ton of information out there on these guys right now. So I think the biggest thing, we talked about, somebody just put in the chat about Micah Parsons' pro day today, where Penn State said that he ran a 4.35 and weighed in at 255 and absolutely just destroyed his pro day, was in the 99th percentile of pretty much everything. We can't really take that at face value. So there's no combine testing, there's no combine interviews, there's no top 30 visits. So in this draft in particular, it does feel like pushing picks into future years, making less picks in such an unpredictable year is probably the best way to go and consolidate, on top of the fact that they just don't have the room on the roster to do it anyway. So all those reasons, it just feels like taking a bunch of picks and moving up in the first round for a quarterback they feel good about just seems to be the way to go. So let's get this going. Yep. And we're going to pull up here our third screen, which is going to have the mock draft. It's simulator that we're using, Pro Football Focus's mock draft simulator here. And no, Taylor, we definitely... Shout out, Taylor. We did get more handsome. I feel like... I did feel like when I sat down today, I did feel like I was having a good hair day. So I do want to point out before we get into the draft, though. We don't want that one. No, figure it out, Evan. I do want to point out, actually, you can pull the draft up full screen, Evan, here. Because I noticed PFF has a leaderboard, because when you see the PFF drafts, right, they're graded. Yes. Patriots fans are doing exceptionally well here. 5th best draft, and all 4 teams ahead of them are picking ahead of them. So good for the Patriots fans out there who are putting together these mock drafts. You guys have been killing it. If you want to see the rest of it here, like see these fan bases, and these aren't necessarily casual fan bases down here, kind of struggling a little bit, but Patriots fans have been killing it. All right, let's get up, Patriots fans. Proud of you guys. We're gonna drop the speed for a little bit. It's not, we're not gonna do this all night, so it doesn't take forever. But we'll speed it up. We want to be able to be in a spot to trade up. We're also gonna take the randomness down just a little bit. Like we tested it this morning, and Trevor Lawrence didn't go until he was 4th, and we just don't want to deal with that. So we're gonna set it up like this, and I think we are ready to go here, Evan. All right, let's hope that my guy Trey Lance doesn't go here in the first start. So we're going to bump it to 6 and see what happens at 6. There we go. Lawrence, Wilson, it's all going according to plan. Oh, Kyle Pitts at 4. Okay. So I don't mind that. I don't think that that's completely out of the realm of possibilities. If they're trying to win now with Matt Ryan, it certainly fits. Okay. So we're going to try trade up to 6, I think is the plan, right? This might not work. So we're going to go 6. This is where we wanted to start having the conversation of the trade up. There have been trades in the past trading up from 6. So this is 15 to 6. So this is not completely out of the realm of possibility. Of course, my dog's deciding to make an appearance here tonight. We knew that was going to happen at some point. And it's not completely out of the realm of possibility for the Patriots to pull off a trade from 15 to 6. I think there are going to be people, once Alex strings this together, how many picks the Patriots have to give up to get to 6 might freak out a little bit at us for making this trade. But again, this is the mock draft where we're going to make this big trade to move up in the draft. So we'll get into some more other scenarios.
Yeah.
But Alex, let's set the stage for us.
So again, the Patriots want to trade up. They need to consolidate picks, and we're going to have a chance later to maybe get some future picks back. So this is the format right now. This is what's been floated out there. We're going to trade 15 and 46. We got 5 shots at this before we can't trade with them again. So let's just try this. We're going to start with this. We'll try this.
This seems,
and that's not going to happen. We're going to throw on.
I think in a normal year, that trade might be able to get it done, but because there's so many quarterback needy teams, and because these quarterbacks, especially the top 4 guys, are so coveted that they're going to have to give up like a special package to move up, right? It's not going to be a situation where you're just going to be able to trade like that. The Buffalo Bills, they only gave up a future first round pick and a 3rd round pick, I believe it was, to move up to draft Josh Allen. So that's definitely been in the past a package that would work, but not in this particular draft, I don't think.
So I do want to throw this out there because I just realized this. Justin Fields didn't go.
Oh, okay. So we're going to have a little description here.
Do we just want to bump down to 7 because we'll get Fields or Lance? We're guaranteed one of those guys if we bump down to 7.
All right, let's try to bump it down to 7, but I do want to have the discussion a little bit because I think this is exactly what we're going to the Patriots are going to have these types of discussions when they discuss trading up in the draft of Fields versus Lance versus Wilson, right? Those are going to be the 3 guys. Wilson's already gone, correct?
Right. So is it worth giving up what we need to give up extra to get our guy, or do you think it's worth taking the risk and moving to 7 and potentially letting the Eagles pick the quarterback for us?
So I wrote about Justin Fields today, and my hesitation with him is that this is a guy that average time to throw was 3.11 seconds, right? And that stat is not always an end all be all, but what you see with him is a guy that is typically a tick slow through his progression. And Alex, we talked about this a lot about the Patriots offense. Guys that are a little bit slow through the progression, that don't see things quickly, that don't get the ball out quickly, typically that doesn't succeed here, right? Typically that doesn't win. And I just feel like that's why I'm hesitant on trading up for Fields and why I like Lance a little bit more than Fields, because Lance is somebody that I can see that fits everything that they do. He can operate from under center. He can operate in a quick passing game. He can elongate the snap and be able to go a little bit further down the field, obviously, like Justin Fields. So, it's a little bit of an unknown. It's an Ohio State quarterback versus a guy from the FCS, but I feel like Trey Lance does more Patriot-like things on tape than Justin Fields does.
So here's our options here. We can get aggressive for this pick. We can move to 7. We don't have to trade up. The way this board is falling, right? We might have a shot at Mac Jones at 15. It's not guaranteed. You need to get past the Eagles. These are 3 quarterback teams right here. Denver's potentially a quarterback team, and then you have San Francisco's potentially a quarterback team as well. So waiting till 15 feels a little risky. Do we want to see what the Eagles do, or do we want to maybe give up, try throwing an extra 3rd on here in the future?
I want to make this trade happen. I want my guy.
You want to make this trade?
If you're going to do it, you got to do it, right? You can't like get caught in no man's land of, let's see if we can make it one.
Okay.
No, if you're going to do it, let's do it.
All right. So this is what we're giving up now. We're giving up the 1st and the 2nd this year, in the first 3 picks next year. Or I guess we can start with a 4th. Patriots don't have a 5th or a 6th next year, just 3 7ths. So you're looking at a huge gap next year in the draft if you do this.
Okay, well, we can trade picks into future years. They have some assets. Maybe they can flip for picks. There's other ways to fill that gap, right?
All right, so we'll try this here. That didn't get it done. We'll try this. And then I think we have 2 offers left. That didn't get it done.
Wow. So the Eagles are driving a hard bargain on us.
Do we want to throw on one of these 4ths and see what happens?
Let's do it. I'm wheeling and dealing. This is what I want.
All right, we're going to give up the comp. We're giving up 6 picks, Evan, for 1 pick.
Oh boy. This is not going to happen. This is not
okay. Let's. You know what? The Eagles. They have their guy in mind. We're gonna give it one more pick.
Yeah, it's going to be one. You got to think it's one of the quarterbacks.
And there goes Trey Lance.
Oh, man. All right. Well,
do you want to restart?
Yeah. No. We can.
I mean, we can. It's our draft.
Yeah. Let's make the trade happen.
So here we go. We're going to try 1546. This pick is now worth a lot less because we don't get to choose our quarterback. And that goes.
All right. So that's better. That is, I feel like, a trade that the Patriots could actually make. The Eagles were driving a real hard bargain. They obviously really wanted Trey Lance, so they weren't going to move off of that. So they're going to sit there. Howie Roseman's in his office saying we're not doing anything else besides drafting
immediately after committing to Justin to Jalen Hurts for one more year. But all right, I guess we're gonna grab Justin Fields. I don't think he's a fit either. I'm not super hyped about this draft. I wanted Lance. I really thought we'd get Lance at 7.
So the Daniel Jeremiah report was that the Patriots are really high on Justin Fields. We know how these smokescreen things work.
Yeah.
I think what you see with Justin Fields on tape, though, is his accuracy by every single metric, whether it's PFF charting, completion percentage over expected. He has been a very, very accurate quarterback throughout his collegiate career. And I'm not just saying that in terms of like a guy like a Mac Jones, because you add on to it the athleticism, I think a stronger arm than what Mac Jones has. In other years where Justin Fields wasn't coming off a season where he didn't exactly play great at times, I think Justin Fields could have been the number 1 pick in the draft in other years. So you're getting at 7 a guy that really has 1 or 2 talent, I would say at this point.
So we're doing this. No reset. We're taking Fields.
We're taking it. We're doing
all right.
It. Here we
go.
So
I'm not like super like I would rather have Lance. I don't think that falls that way. So they're probably okay. I'm just curious. Could we have gotten Mac Jones at 15? Maybe. Yeah, Mac Jones would have been there. Wow, Mac Jones falling hard.
This is the problem with this simulator. Sometimes, it throws you in the loop and does some weird things. So
Mac Jones into the 20s.
Yeah, I don't see this happening.
Did I turn up or down randomness?
I don't know, Alex. What did you break it?
I don't know. I thought I had it set right. This is a disaster. Oh, there it goes. Oh, Jesus Christ. To the Bucs. And Brady's pissed and wins 2 more Super Bowls. Okay. No, I'll lose the draft by adjust the settings. I won't adjust the settings.
We traded 46, right?
We did. So that's where I was going to go from here. Okay. So we got Justin Fields at 7. We have our quarterback of the future. Now the question is, we have this gap, from 7 to 96. We have a 90 pick gap. That's probably not going to happen. We've also talked about this before. Bill will not sit on that Bill will not pick with that 96 pick, that Brady pick. That pick is going to go into a complicated trade tree. And then you see, 120 behind 96 isn't bad. So I would say we package 96 and maybe 1 or 2 of these fourths. We try to move up here and we try to get back a 2nd round pick for next year.
Okay. So do we want to have the Gilmore conversation?
So that's the other thing. So we have Gilmore on the table we can trade, and we have N'Keal on the table we can trade.
Right. So N'Keal, we were thinking maybe a 4th or a 5th round pick. That's realistic.
The report right now is a 4th to Arizona. Do we want to just go ahead and pull the trigger on that now?
I am curious though about that Gilmore pick. Who did Dallas end up taking in this simulator at number 10? Because if they didn't take a corner,
they took Barmore.
Okay, so this is where I think it gets fascinating. Dallas, I think we looked up, it had they were at like 43 or something.
44 right here, 44.
44. So I think that Gilmore for 44, if Dallas isn't thinking corner in the 1st round, that makes a lot of sense for both sides, right? If the Patriots decide that they cannot reach a reasonable contract extension with Stephon Gilmore, I would still like to keep the player, especially after all the offseason moves that they've made. It kind of feels like it's going backwards a little bit to now trade Stephon Gilmore, but maybe we could entertain a trade with Dallas in this for their top 2nd round pick there at 44, and then you get your another top 50 pick back, and you can look at some of the guys on the board and go from there. Or we could trade all of these picks that we have in the 4th round and go back up that way.
So do we want to add? It sounds like N'Keal's going to go. And the recent report was a 4th. Do we want to send N'Keal to Washington for a 4th? Because that's where that report came from.
Sure.
Okay. because that one feels kind of inevitable at that point. So where is Washington football team here? There they are. All right, so their fourth is 124. I'm just gonna we're forcing the trade here. If you can see, so a 124th for it's gonna say nothing. This is for N'Keal Harry. We're doing this. We're going to assume these trades happened before the draft, right? These trades happened before the draft, so
we're making some assumptions here, just
so we know what we have to work with.
Yes,
so there's that. And then do we want to do the? Oh, hang on, I gotta pause it. And then do we want to do the Gilmore trade? Should we ask the chat? Should we leave this one up to the chat?
Yeah, let's. If you're listening out there and you have an opinion, are we trading Stephon Gilmore or are we keeping Stephon Gilmore? I want to keep the player, but if they can't reach a long-term agreement that makes sense for both sides.
Well, so here's how this is going to work.
Writing's on the wall a little bit.
Stephon Gilmore for the 44th pick, whichever we get. All right, I was going to say whichever gets 5 yeses or nos first wins, and they're just coming in with doing that trade. I think it's like 10-1 right now. So we're going to do 44 for Stephon Gilmore. That's going to be the pick, and we're going to All right, here we go. Everybody seems to be in on it.
So let's do it, and I want to have a conversation now about who they pick with that pick.
Well, so before we do that, because we're 11 picks before that. I'm actually just going to speed it up and let us get there because we're not going to trade back up from 44.
No.
So let's just reset here. So we have Justin Fields. We've traded a few picks. We do have now, and here's our draft capital now. So we have 2 more top 100 picks. We are still lacking next year. At some point, so this is the Patriots draft capital right here on the right. As the Chargers on the left. Ignore that. So we do want to try to add, because next year's draft does not look good. We do want to try to move some of these picks into next year's draft. We still have too many picks, but we are back in the top 100 now, and we do have our quarterback. So that's where we're at right now, Evan. So if you want to get into that trade, or do you want to just look at who's on the board?
So I want to look at and can you switch it to cornerbacks, please?
Well, I'm just so I'm going to do the top 5, and then we'll look by position. Okay. So top 5 on the board right now: Alex Leatherwood. They could certainly use a tackle. Travis Etienne, no. Landon Dickerson a week ago made sense. Now that David Andrews is back, probably not. Terrence Marshall, do they want to use a premium pick on a wide receiver? McNeil.
I'm not a big Terrence Marshall guy, but with Justin Fields, you do need to have some sort of a downfield threat that's a bigger body.
Wasn't that Aguilar?
I guess it is Aguilar. Yeah, that's a good argument. All right, let's go to corner.
Let's go. All right, we'll take a look at the corners here. So here's the top corners. Most of the top guys are gone. At this point,
they have a little bit of different rankings, I would say, than a lot of analysts do. So the guy that I want to look at here is Greg Newsome for Northwestern. And
they have him right here at 60.
So the reason why I wanted to talk about corners here is that the Patriots, I feel like if they're going to trade Stephon Gilmore, can do exactly what the Vikings did with Stephon Diggs and Justin Jefferson, right? You trade the veteran player that's about to get paid and you take that replacement with the same pick, and you get a guy on a rookie contract that you really like, and you move forward with that player. Whereas the other team, Dallas, they get Stephon Gilmore. It's a win-win for everybody, right? The Dallas gets their number 1 corner. The Patriots get a cheaper guy that they can afford to keep around. So Greg Newsome's a player from Northwestern who I have watched recently as I start to dig into this cornerback market, and he is a very scheme versatile player. He's long. He can play press man coverage, but he can also play cover 3. He can also play quarters. They used him in a bunch of different ways as a boundary corner, different types of schemes, but I really like his hip fluidity and his ability to man match and man coverage. So I actually think that Greg Newsome's a guy that they might like. Some of these other guys, certainly Fede Malifonwu might be a little bit too early for him, but I think that he'll be somebody that they'll be interested in. And the other, Asante Samuel Jr. is gone, right?
He is. So I was just going to kind of reset that for you. So you, in this scenario, have Newsome as your 5th corner?
Correct.
Okay, because Samuel went 27. We'll kind of reset here. Some of the bigger names. J.C. Horn went to the Jets.
Yeah.
You had Asante Samuel go to the Ravens. Zaven Collins went to the Packers. We saw Mac Jones to the Bucs. That's still funny. Kadarius Toney to the Jets at the beginning of the 2nd round. Kyle Trask goes to the Panthers at 39 because they passed on a quarterback. Yeah, they took Jamar Chase. So they actually get Jamar Chase and Kyle Trask. That's a pretty good draft. And that brings us to here. So the other thing we can do, Evan, is we still have that 96 pick. We know we're going to trade. We have what, 4 fourth-round picks, 5 fourth-round picks.
We're going to consolidate some of those also.
So we can always maybe try to move into the 60 range. Maybe we miss on Newsome then. It's certainly possible. But we can always move back up and get a corner here.
Yep.
Right? So if there's somebody else we want to take here.
I also like Tyson Campbell from Georgia. He's an athletic player. Georgia's scheme, certainly we know that they've been attracted to Georgia guys in the past. He's a player that can play some man coverage as well, good athlete, things like that. But I really like Greg Newsome for them. I think that he's going to be a player that they're going to like, a lot of different traits, and they obviously want to be multiple. They want to be able to be a game plan defense that changes week to week. And Newsome's the type of guy that one week you can have him in bail cover 3, the next week you can have him in man coverage, and he can kind of do all of those types of things. Yeah. So I really like that player for them. So let's take Greg Newsome here.
You want to take Greg? Because the other thing is we could always trade out of it.
We could trade out of it. So the positions that I'm looking at now are, we already hit quarterback with Justin Fields, although I do want to take a quarterback maybe later in this draft too, and go double down on that. Corner and then offensive tackle. I think we got to get that in there as well. So I think that we could try to trade back and be able to get one of these other tackles that are really high in this draft. You know, there's a bunch of them. So those are the two positions I'm really looking at. If I'm the Patriots, I don't know if they'll be all in on Newsome like I am. They might actually like Alex Leatherwood in this spot.
Well, so we're trying to, this is more of a prediction. It's a bit of a wish list, but I want it to be a prediction as well. But you want to go, they'll reach on defensive backs. Yeah. We all know they'll reach on defensive backs. So is Newsome the pick here? Chat, what do you think? Does the chat want Greg Newsome as the pick here?
I don't know. I don't know if they're going to agree with me on this one, but
the chat I saw. Hang on, let me just sort it back to. So here's who's interested in the pick. By the way, we have the Chargers, whose next pick is 47. We have the Browns, whose next pick is 59, and the Bills, whose next pick is 51. So that's where we could realistically trade. I'm seeing a yes and a no all day. No, love Newsome.
A lot of Leatherwood love. I'm surprised nobody has said Travis Etienne yet. Just to piss me off. I
see, people like Tyson Campbell, and I like Tyson Campbell too.
Both of those players are good in my book. I mean, I think they got to take a corner. If they're going to trade Gilmore, you got to take a corner, especially with J.C. Jackson's contract situation too. So either one, Campbell or Newsome, I'm a little higher on Newsome because of his versatility in terms of scheme versatility. But
I feel like if you're trading if this is the Gilmore pick, if you're trying to replicate, that Stephon Diggs trade, versatility is maybe not as important as get a guy who can come in and be an outside corner year one.
Okay. All right, so let's take Tyson Campbell.
Let's take because Tyson Campbell's probably more that guy, right?
Sure.
So we're going to take Tyson. It's a little high compared to what PFF has, but we're going to grab Tyson Campbell with the 44th pick, and then I'm going to pause the draft again because so now what do we want to trade up with 96? Do we want to trade down with 96? Do we want to trade out with 96?
Let's look at that tackle board right now where the offensive tackles are. I
actually don't know how to see the draft board if we're not picking. I don't know how to see a draft board if we're not picking. Alex Leatherwood just went.
Okay, so I'm sure there's still plenty of tackles.
I mean, I'll just backtrack here real quick. Leatherwood, Eichenberg went.
Okay.
Jackson Carman went. Cosme went. It seems like a lot of good ones went. Tevin Jenkins went. Walker Little went. And then you're going back to the first round guys. Radins.
Walker Little goes that high. That is, I don't get that one. All right, so let's let it roll maybe a little bit longer. Maybe they can grab one of these developmental tackles. And I also want to, I wouldn't mind trading back up with some of those 4th round picks. I do want to keep one 4th round pick for somebody else.
It's tough where we can't see who's on the board.
Yeah.
But we just got to kind of, all right. So we just hit the end of the 2nd round. Javonte Williams went, Tylan Wallace. I'm just scrolling back here. Najee Harris going 61. Wow. Melifonwu went. Where'd your guy go? Did he not go? Is he still on the board? We could double dip. We could double dip a corner, Evan.
Oh,
we trade up.
Use him again. I like
He's still on the board.
I don't think that the fans would like that.
We don't need to. So here's the question. Are we trading up? Like I see 96. We gave up that haul to get Justin Fields, right? I think 96 is a great way to go back and get a top 60 pick in next year's draft.
Okay. All right. You're selling me on it. I think that they need to package some of these 4th round picks together.
And those can be two separate things. We can use 96 to move up and package some of the 96 to move out into next year and some of these seconds to move up. So let's pick. I mean, who's a team? Perfect. Hang on. Here we go. 1, 2. Did I miss the Texans? I missed the Texans. I need to slow it down. That was because they love trading with the Texans, right? Who else they love trading with here? Who's kind of coming up? You know what? Let's see.
How about the G-Men?
I was going to say, let's see if we can grab that pick back that the league wrongfully took. Speed this up a little bit.
How about the Giants? You go and call up old friend Joe Judge.
And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to keep trading. So that's now going to be 3. One more. There's going to be 3 trades with the NFC East, right? We traded Nikhil to Washington. We traded Gilmore to the Cowboys, and now we're going to trade with the Giants. So
sure.
This is where we're moving up. So we want 76. Let's try. You want to try? We'll try the 2 we grabbed. We'll try 122 and 124. Does that look? Should I add something? Should we get something back? Do you like that?
I like that. Let's do it.
Look who went to pick before Evan. Greg Newsome.
My guy.
So here we go. So we're going to try 76 for 122 and 124. That didn't work. We have a bunch of these 5th rounders, right?
Throw one of those 5th or one of those late round.
We'll try in the 7th here. We'll try in the 7th to work our way up. We have five offers. That worked. Okay.
All right.
So we trade, 122, 124 aren't bad. We get back in to the top 100. And this is the pick that was lost for the Cincinnati BS. So we're back on the board. Again, it sucks we can't see who's on the board when we make these trades. Maybe next time we use a different simulator, but here's where we're at.
Let me tell you something. If Jalen Mayfield from Michigan is on the board at
hang on, you're breaking up there. Say that again.
If Jalen Mayfield is still on the board here, then you got to take him. I mean, this is automatic.
I really like James Hudson too, though.
No, run up to the card to the table. If he's still there at 76, that is an absolute steal and a half.
Look who's on the board here. He had a rough pro day today. I don't care. No, you are
going to be a starting tackle in the league for the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay. All right. So let's
he should be a late first round pick. I'm shocked that he's still there.
Okay. And you know what? The Michigan guys have done the Patriots well in recent years. So Jalen Mayfield, we're not going to trade up again for a little bit here. I'm just going to zip us right up to 96. And your boy David Mills, I think, just went.
Did he really?
I think he did. To the Chicago Bears, 83rd. So.
Yeah, all right. Well, that was the other quarterback that I was eyeing as maybe a double dip. I feel like
we can still double dip. We can still
double dip. That was my guy. That was like I had this like RG3 Kirk Cousins take coming, where you get one quarterback that's the mobile pocket passer, you get the other quarterback that's more your traditional Patriot style quarterback. I think those 2 guys would have fit really well as sort of one guy is your high upside player and Justin Fields. The other guy is same exact situation what the football team did with RG3 and Kirk Cousins. And that worked out okay for him. Obviously it could have worked out a lot better, but it didn't work out terribly, I should say. All right.
So here's where things get interesting because there's a ton of players on the board, right? That I love. I don't know how you feel that I love. Rashad Weaver's not bad. Love Chaz Surratt for him. Trey Brown, not a bad player. Demetric Felton, obviously we know about him. But there's no chance Bill Belichick makes this 96th pick. That's because this is the Brady pick, and he will turn it into a convoluted tree, so no player can be linked to Brady. So here's what I say we do. We did say we were going to handcuff ourselves. We were only going to look at trades from teams that were interested.
True.
And the earliest team is 119. So the question is, what can we get if we move back to 119?
That's a good question. I'm comfortable with doing it, especially with the players that are on the board. I don't think any one of these guys is somebody that they like. Jalen Mayfield is still on the board, right? You got to make that pick. I don't feel like any of these guys are got to have them guys. So
let's try this. We're going to consolidate picks, right? They're not going to pick at 119 and 120 and.
Why don't we try to trade this pick and get a pick in 2022? Is that possible?
Well, so yes, but I'm wondering if we can do both. I'm wondering if we can, because 76 to 120 is a drop. Let's say, so we're going to package 96 and 120. We get 119 back. So that's essentially a wash, right?
Yep.
And then, but we don't, right? So we trade this pick out without having too much of a gap. And let's see if we can get a second rounder from Minnesota. It might not be a top 50 pick. They might make the playoffs, but we're back in the second round, right? We're back in business.
Yeah, I like that.
So I don't think this is going to go through. It's not going through. All right. We can still consolidate. We don't need 177 and 188. I think that's fine. We'll try the higher one because I feel like we're pushing it a little bit. So let's try that. And there it is. So I think that's a pretty good trade. I like that trade.
I think it's decent. And I think, again, like we said at the top of the show, this is one of those drafts where the Patriots are notorious for having a really small board. I got to imagine their board this year is going to be even smaller, right? Because they just don't know anything about any of these guys. So I feel like this board is going to have to be tiny. So maybe this is the way that they go with some of these mid-round picks, move them into 2022, get great value by getting a second-round pick in the future. So that's a great value.
Right.
That'll look really
and by the way, that pick will get traded too, because again, this becomes the Brady tree,
right.
The Brady comp pick tree. And maybe we move down from 119. Maybe we don't like who's on the board. But again, you consolidate 3 picks, and they didn't have enough roster spots. We just turned 3 picks into 1 pick and picked up a solid premium future asset.
Yeah, I like it. Let's keep it going.
I think that's a good. All right. So we're just going to zip down. Trey Brown goes. I just saw one of the Surratts go. There goes the other one. Jamie Newman just went. All right. So here we are. Okay. We got some interesting names on the board. Evan, I think I know who you're lighting up for. So we got Monty Rice. You're a big Pete Werner guy. I know you are.
Pete Werner guy.
Let's see who else on the board here. We got Trey Smith. Cameron McGrone. I think Warner might be the pick here.
Tufali from USC. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but
where'd he go? Oh, the safety?
No. The defensive lineman from USC.
Right here. Yep.
Okay, so he's like your typical 3-4 defensive end, right? He's a guy that I think can really play that role. He reminds me a whole lot of Trey Flowers, young Trey Flowers, right? Not this version of Trey Flowers, but a guy that's quick, pretty twitchy, can move inside, can move outside. I think the Patriots still adding another body on the defensive line that's a little bit younger. They got a bunch of guys that can help them immediately with Gaudshaw and Henry Anderson, but looking to the future, I really like that pick. I know we got a couple of picks here in the next little bit, so we might not need to take.
Yeah, so we have 119 and then 139. And I will say, tough run ahead here. I mean, look at some of the guys who came off the board in the last 10. Chaz Surratt goes to Houston.
Can we look at the wide receivers at this point?
Yeah, I just want to recap this here. Jamie Newman, Dylan Moses, Sean Wade. So we have Pete Werner. I will throw out too. And again, maybe we can wait on him. We have 139. He's projected 129. Yeah. I really like Richard LeCount.
That's a good one too. That's your deep safety right there.
Yeah. So I think getting him in this spot is really good. We can take a look at the wide receivers here. So Nico Collins, but again,
PFF's rankings are all out of whack if Amari Rodgers is still on the board. But Nico Collins is a really interesting pick too, because
we might use a different simulator next time.
Yeah, because they don't have that true X, right? And I say it in quotes because they have Hunter Henry, who I think can play that role a little bit, but they don't have a true X wide receiver other than N'Keal Harry, who we just traded. So they don't really have that body type on their roster currently. So just looking at holes and how the Patriots look at the draft with filling holes with players that you select and where this guy's exactly going to play, Nico Collins makes a whole lot of sense here at this pick.
I've got a guy for that spot in mind. He's here. That we can maybe take a little later.
Okay,
maybe
so
2 or 3 picks.
I think you go back up to let's take. Oh, so Kellen Mond is still on the board somehow.
Yeah, we're using different simulator. No offense, PFF. We're using different simulator next time.
So
wait, hang on. We do have Tampa calling with 137. Are we taking Tom Brady's call?
We're not taking Tom Brady.
All right, we're hanging up.
I like these players that are on the board. Can you go to the quarterbacks real quick?
I can go to the quarterbacks real quick. I think there's too many other good players at positions of need to take Kellen Mond here. I just do.
Well, I also just think that Kellen Mond wouldn't actually be here.
That too, and I wanted to be a little realistic. Yeah. All right, so here's what we're going to do. You really like Pete Werner.
I do.
Middle linebacker, a guy who can do a lot of different things in the middle of the defense.
I do.
I really like Richard LeCount as a guy who I think legitimately
we might be able to get them both.
We might. So what I'm going to say is let's put. Do you want to put this one to the chat? Who we take first?
Sure, but I also want to. I still think they need to hit. We still haven't hit wide receiver. I still would like them to grab a wide receiver.
Well, so we're going to kind of go, if it'll come up. We're going to kind of go fast and furious here. 119, 139, 188. Yep. Right. So we have 4 picks. We have 4 picks left right now. We've made
242. We still have 242 also.
Right. So we have 4 picks left. We have yet to make our own pick. This is 242 is the Patriots' only original scheduled pick we're supposed to make.
Okay.
So
They don't have 139, right? That we traded for that pick.
No,
too?
that's a comp pick. I think that's ours. That's
okay.
But that's not originally scheduled. That's a comp pick.
Well, let's try to get.
I think the chat. I saw somebody seems really into Werner. So I think we're going to go with Werner. I mean,
he is your typical Sam linebacker for the modern NFL, right? A guy that can play a little bit over the slot, can play inside linebacker, fantastic coverage skills. This is somebody that really covers like a safety playing linebacker, but he's 250 pounds. So he's still got the size to be able to bang in the box, but he's got that ability to really cover. And I don't think that they've had a guy in Pete Werner that can cover like that. Maybe since like Jamie Collins was in his prime as a coverage player. I mean, it's been a long time since they've had a linebacker, a true linebacker at that size that can really cover in all three levels of the defense like Pete Werner can. There were reps with Pete Werner where he's running and he's playing center field. They drop him all the way back into center field with some exotic coverage rotations and stuff like that. And he's playing free safety back there. That's the type of player that you're getting here. So that type of versatility and the fact that he still has the size to hang in the box, I feel like that just screams Bill Belichick to me, right?
Yeah. All right. So they are loaded at linebacker, by the way. And I tweeted about this yesterday. I think Raekwon McMillan's being slept on. They're loaded linebacker. They're going to get even more loaded here. This is our second Ohio State pick, right? Yeah. Second or third?
Yep.
Third. Is it our third? No,
I don't think so.
Second. So he's going to join Justin Fields. He's going to take the flight from Columbus out to New England. Pete Werner is the pick. And now we cross our fingers that Richard LeCount falls here. And he just went. He went somewhere up.
All right. Well, let's
look. And my receiver went too. So hang on. Just to backtrack. So LeCount went to the Colts.
Jay Tafalo went too. So all of our guys
went to the next pick. And Jonathan Adams, to me.
Okay.
Jonathan Adams is really good at jump balls. He's a 50-50 menace. It's the only thing he can do. He's not going to do much else right now, but I don't think they need that X receiver to be a primary target right away. I think he'd be in a situation where you get him on day 3. He has a year or two behind Aguilar to develop. I would have really liked that pick. I thought we might have been able to get him. I didn't even think we were going to need 139. I thought we'd be able to get him in the 5th round.
Somehow,
but that's not the case.
Still on the board.
Are we just going to pass? Are we going to do that, or do we want to keep this realistic?
Let's keep it realistic. Let's let's pull up wide receivers, and then we can pull up safeties as well and take a look.
Although I will say Ellerson Smith's still on the board here. I just want to go through some of the top backs, top picks. Nico Collins, Chuba Hubbard's very interesting here.
So I think we got it. Of course.
Go ahead.
I think we got to go Nico Collins here. We traded N'Keal Harry. We had a guy in Nico Collins that has a similar skill set that I think is actually a little bit better in terms of route running and ability to separate at the line of scrimmage. He can go up and get it down the field. Great Senior Bowl week. All these types of Patriot type of things with the pre-draft process with the Senior Bowl and everything like that, checking those boxes. I think that they need that true X. I think that they're going to try Kendrick Bourne there a little bit. They might try Hunter Henry there a little bit, but this gives them a developmental X, not putting the pressure on him that we put on N'Keal Harry as a first-round pick. I really like this pick. I think that getting Nico Collins at 139 is kind of a steal.
So I will throw out, we do have the Cardinals calling with 160, Washington football team with 163, and we want to make this pick. I want to make this pick.
I want to pick Nico Collins. That's how I feel about it. Let's just take a quick look at the safeties, though.
So there's a couple positions I want to look at here. So here's the wide receivers. We're going to say Amari Rogers shouldn't be on the board.
Right.
Anthony Schwartz they met with, but he's not. I mean, if we're talking about the X, then it's Nico Collins.
Yeah. Josh Palmer is a slower X, if you want to go later in the draft at that spot and wait on it, maybe you could take him on later. Let's see what we got here. So Tyreek Ellipsy is a really interesting prospect too.
And we still, Caden Stearns is probably a little low for him. I really like.
So maybe we can find a way to get one of back up to get one of those guys or something.
Yeah, I don't hate the safes that are still on the board. There's one more case I want to make, Evan. Don't strangle me here. I think
aren't you?
There is a case to be made to take Chuba Hubbard here. Okay, I think there is. Behind James White.
You want him over Trey Sermon?
Well, he's a better receiver than Trey Sermon.
He is a better receiver. Yeah, I'll give you that.
That's like, I'm talking about this as James White's here on a 1-year deal. It's what we've been talking about all week, right? James White was drafted before Shane Vereen left. Shane Vereen was drafted before Danny Woodhead left. Danny Woodhead was signed before Kevin Falk left. If you want to keep the train going, I think Chuba's a good pick.
Okay, can you go to the running backs and just look at all of them?
So because there are other guys I like. We might have to lose one of the chat. So Kylan Hill's not a bad receiver. Jarrett Patterson's interesting, and I do like CJ Verdell potentially.
Yeah,
we don't really have a pick in that range. So after this, there is a bit of a drop to 188, and then another drop to 242.
So I wonder if we really like. So we haven't hit. We're thinking maybe a running back and maybe a safety, right? And I think
we want. So we want to go running back, safety, wide receiver with these 3 picks.
Right. So we're not gonna consolidate anymore and trade and try to package 188 and 242 to go back up.
Unless somebody, if we're picking, our next pick is 188 and the team picking 190 comes to us, maybe we consolidate that way, but probably not. Yeah, you know what? I like some of those other running backs there. I think we all like the safeties. I think you're right. I think Nico Collins there's not a ton of other wide receivers there.
So this is what I like about what we've done, and I don't really love Justin Fields at the top of the draft, so people don't think
we missed out on Trey Lance. We blew this whole thing. We were supposed to set this up to get Trey Lance.
We were, and I was gonna be all excited. But what I do like is that we traded Stephon Gilmore and replaced him with Tyson Campbell when we traded N'Keal Harry and replaced him with Nico Collins. Right? Yeah. That makes sense from a lot of different perspectives. That's the way that I think teams think about things is let's get younger, let's get the same player out, same position, same type of skill set, but just younger and cheaper, right? And I think that's exactly what we've done with both those moves.
So here we go. Man, we just missed Jonathan Adams. Nico Collins to pick at 139. And I don't know, are we trading up here? No, we're just going to kind of let it roll through the 5th. Yeah, they never make 5th round picks.
We're punting on the 5th, just like we're Bill Belichick.
Right. I said,
why they're going to trade up into the 5th is get a kicker. That's the
right. So sometimes people get mad when we put out mock drafts. They're like, why do you want them to do this? Mock drafts generally aren't wish lists; they're predictions. Right. I just want everybody to understand that. Okay, so here we are. We're picking at 188. We have one team calling, and it's not loading. We have Baltimore calling at 210, and that's their last pick. So we can't even unless we want to pick up more future assets with this pick, we can't really do that. So
what do the safeties look like? What do the running backs look like?
So here's just the top of the board. KJ Britt, Tony Poljan, Larry Borum, Jared Patterson is interesting. I will not touch Marco Wilson with a 20-foot pole. Same for Sam Ellinger. I'm sorry, we're not going to get to double up on quarterbacks.
Felipe.
Dwayne Eskridge, and we took the wide receiver. So okay.
No love for Felipe?
I'd like to see him in a Red Sox uniform. So I like
Verdell. I mean, it's a little early based off this, but
I do like Verdell. I think this is about right for him. Patterson's really interesting, though. He's more of that all-around back, but I feel like they would like Verdell better because he's been a 3-year starter. He's been a 3-year
starter. I think he can catch the ball a little bit.
Yeah. And by the way, to people just coming in, we're going to recap the draft at the end of this. So.
Yeah, and we'll do all that. Right. Let's look at the safety board. Oh, okay. So Puka Williams from Kansas is really interesting here too.
Right,
you might be able to get him a little bit later, but that's a true receiving back, right? That's a third down running back right there.
Yeah. So and again, but we're going from 188 to 242. That's a lot of picks. And then you wanted me to look at safeties. You said.
Yep.
So a bunch of those safeties went. All those safeties went.
Okay, so
this might be a UDFA thing at this point. So maybe the quarterback's back on the board, Evan.
Later on in the draft, if you pull it back up,
yeah,
you can scroll just a little bit more. Jamar Johnson there from Indiana. I could see him as our pick at 242.
Okay.
But maybe they do like him more as a UDFA. There are some concerns if he has the speed to be able to be a true center fielder, but he does have those types of traits that he could play the deep middle. So that's a pick that maybe they could go with. But I really like Puka from Kansas. I like the guy from Oregon, the running back as well.
So we do have, best player available kind of thing. They generally do double up on linemen. We could like Cole Van Landen's a guy some people like.
Yep.
And we're in the 6th round. We don't need to handcuff ourselves. We could try to move down a little bit and maybe pick up an extra pick.
Okay. I'm actually into that because at this point in the draft, you sort of want to take some stabs, right?
Right. So I will say then we will have made 8 picks.
Okay, so that we consolidated a little bit. So if we stick with what we have, we've made 7, right?
Right. Well, actually, what we can do, so let's just say, where do you want to move to?
We could then take 242 with the pick that we get or with 188 and package those up to move up, again, a little bit and then consolidate it back down to 7.
Or we can see if we can, hang on. So let's, Let's call Nick Caserio again. Oh, Nick's got a lot of picks. I like this. So we're moved down from 188 to 195. And then I wonder, can we get a 6-rounder next year? That seems like a bit much, but we can pick. And remember, we have very low draft capital next year. We move down less than 10 spots, pick up a 6. I'm game for that. I don't know if they'll accept this. They won't. And then, I mean, no, because even if we give him 242, we're still moving up. We give him like a 20. Give him a future 6, or are we just kind of being ridiculous now?
Yeah, let's just make a pick here, and then
all right, we're just gonna make a pick. Sorry, Nick.
The
offer's off the table.
Yeah, let's make a pick so that we can get through this and
actually, hang on. Let's try one more here. Let's call Sean McVay. Sean McVay likes Bill Belichick.
That's true. They're texting friends, those two.
So here we go. So we're gonna go from 188 to 209 and try to pick up the 6 next year.
All right, let's do it. Nope. Nobody wants to trade with us anymore. We've swindled too many people.
Matt LaFleur, last shot. We're gonna go from 188 to 214 and pick up the 6. Nope. All right. We're making the pick. So are we going lineman or are we going running back here?
I think we go running back. I think we go with the guy from Oregon.
You like Verdell? Or I mean, because I like Puka's interesting. Puka Williams is very interesting. I just think Verdell is more. I don't know as much about him as I do Verdell. I know Verdell is like a 3-year starter. Is
a classic pass catching running back. He's not going to run between the tackles. He's not going to necessarily be that kind of guy, but he's good in space and he's good with the ball in his hands. He definitely checks that box, right? He's that.
Oh, and you know what? So I'll say one of the things I love about Verdell, and again, I don't have as much research on Puka. I should have coming into this. I like Verdell because he played a considerable role for 3 years. And the Patriots like running backs with experience. I just pulled up Puka stats. 1,000-yard rusher as a freshman. So, and he's been grinding for 3 years. So I think Puka Williams, if you like the pick, I like the pick. I think we do it.
Let's make it.
All right. So we're going to draft Puka Williams here. And then we'll see what happens at 242. I wish it would go a little faster. There it goes. Okay. So are we taking a quarterback? Are we going to double up on the quarterbacks? We're going to go best player available. We grab another lineman. I think that's always a possibility. I know we're looking at the board. I'm setting the scene here.
Let's look and see who the quarterbacks are.
Okay. I just want to point out how nuts we've gone with this, but I could totally see it going this way. So if you look here on the right where my mouse is, these are all the picks we've made that are grayed out. This one originally belonged to Detroit, originally belonged to Dallas, originally belonged to the Giants, originally belonged to the Vikings. Comp pick originally belonged to Houston. This is the only pick that the Patriots originally had. And granted, they made some of those moves too. So,
Kobe Stevens isn't terrible.
Not a bad player. We did want to take a safety.
Yeah. Okay.
Who else is? He's really the only guys get me excited here. I'm not taking Ian Book. Evan, you're gonna have to come over here and rip the computer out of my hands if you want Ian Book.
Okay. So
Carl Wells is a great name. I don't know that much about him.
I kind of like taking the safety here. It's a little. I think that they might even go, Bill Belichick and safeties, right?
Right.
Safety could be a lot higher than where we're taking him right now if it was up to Bill. But I think we could do that, right?
So the only thing I just want to see who's left on the offensive line. Nobody that really excites me.
I'm telling you, we got an absolute steal and a half with Jalen Mayfield where we got him, and he's going to be that's your right or left tackle of the future right there. We already checked that box in my opinion.
Yeah,
Jacoby Stevens I think that would be a really good pick here as well.
I do too. I think he goes a little higher than this, but I don't think it's totally unrealistic. Maybe if he has a bad pro day, he slips a little bit. So Jacoby Stevens the final pick. And then we'll have made, so we went from 10 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We went from 10 to 7. I think that's a manageable number. It may be a little high. Maybe they're closer to 6, but I don't think that's impossible. So Jacoby Stevens out of LSU is going to be the pick. And then it's just got to finish up, and then I can pull up the.
Okay, so we did good. It's not exactly what
let's see. What did PFF get? PFF gave us an A.
I think we deserve an A, but.
I'm just going to keep talking. I'm just going to see if I can pull this whole thing up full screen instead of.
All right. Here, let's take us without the.
Yeah, you can pull it down for a second.
So I think that what we did at the top of the draft is exactly what everybody wants the Patriots to do, right? We traded up a bunch of picks. What did we trade? 4 or 5 picks up, right? To get Justin Fields. It's not the quarterback we came in.
So here, if you want to pull that back up, we have the full draft there.
Okay. Here we go.
So again, for those who just joined, those 2 forced trades, that's Stephon Gilmore going to Dallas and N'Keal Harry going to Washington. Actually, let me see if I can put that in. But go ahead.
All right, so I like it. I like what we did here. We got Justin Fields, who I feel pretty good about, right? I feel like that's a good pick that we got there. Certainly at 7 is tremendous value. And what the Patriots are going to have to do, and I think that they're in a really good position to do it, is I would then probably sit Justin Fields for the first half of the season like Miami did with Tua, let Cam start, let Justin Fields develop behind the scenes, figure out exactly what they're going to do with Justin Fields at quarterback. Are you going to completely change the system to adapt it around him, or are you just going to make adaptations to the system that already exists, kind of like what they did with Cam last year, right, and try to fix it around him? It's certainly an easy transition from Fields to Cam. I think they are Fields is a much more accurate quarterback, certainly, than Cam has been really at any point in his career. But I think that they do have similar skill sets. They have similar strengths. Justin Fields, you want to throw the ball down the field. You want to be a vertical passing offense. You want to run the football. You want to have the running elements with the quarterback involved. So really easy, seamless transition there from Cam to Justin Fields. But again, because of the mental processing, because of the mental side of the game, I would probably sit Justin Fields for a couple of months and let him hold a clipboard and figure things out and get up to speed with the NFL game and with the playbook before I threw him in there.
We were going to do that with either guy, I think.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, if this is what they come away with, again, we both wanted Lance over Fields. The Eagles were asking for too much at 6. It was going to take like 7 picks to get it done.
Yep.
And we really didn't think they'd take a quarterback. If they did, I thought they were going to take Fields. So this is where we're at. But I mean, besides that, if they come away with this, and granted, you lose Stephon Gilmore in here, but there's
Stephon Gilmore. But again, I love that Vikings comparison, right? We lose Stephon Gilmore, but we use the pick on Tyson Campbell, a system fit, athletic, man coverage skills, coming from Georgia, pro style defense. He's going to be able to come in and I think really early on play outside corner for the Patriots. So they get that guy there that really can be sort of that Justin Jefferson to Stephon Diggs sort of transition, hopefully. So you're going to lose a beat, right? You're going to fall back just a little bit, but maybe you are kind of, in a better position there. And certainly taking a corner in the second round is classic Bill. So we nailed that. And I just feel like that's a great compromise, right? To be able to go younger, get a guy on a rookie contract and still be able to do some things in terms of playing him at outside corner. Pretty much, I think he can play almost right away. Coming from Georgia, he has that in-game, big game experience, right? And they played Isaiah Wynn. They played Sony Michel. Isaiah got hurt, but they wanted to play Isaiah Wynn right away. They certainly did play Sony right away. So I think all those things definitely check some boxes. Jalen Mayfield, I can't believe we got him there. I think that's...
So how unrealistic is that one?
To me, it's very unrealistic. And I've watched a lot of Jalen Mayfield tape. I know Brandon Thornton and other people that I really trust with the offensive linemen really like him as well. He's extremely raw, and that's something that I think that might knock him down the board just a little bit. He doesn't have a ton of in-game experience. One of those guys, and this is true with a lot of these guys, so it's nothing against Jalen Mayfield. With COVID, with injuries in the past, they just haven't played a lot of games. Right? There's just not been a lot of games to play. So Jalen Mayfield's definitely somebody that's got all the raw tools, and we're not drafting a player like Isaiah Wynn who's undersized for the tackle position. This is an ideal tackle prospect, 6'5", 320 pounds. He just only made 15 starts in college. And that's going to be a tough evaluation, but extremely explosive out of his stance, fluid, great feet, ability to mirror pass rushers, great agility there, lateral mobility, lateral slides are really smooth pass protector for the most part. He just has some technical things and refinement that he's going to have to work on, angles, hand placement, things like that. But he's a very athletic prospect as well. So I think that he's somebody that at left tackle makes a whole lot of sense for the Patriots, right? Kind of like a Nate Solder body type, very athletic player, move around to that spot. We got to deal with that. And you know how I feel with our next pick with Pete Warner also. Fantastic coverage linebacker. I still think he's got the size. He's got some great blitz ability, great ability to play run sideline to sideline. I don't know if he's going to play right away the Patriots with their linebacker, but eventually that's going to be a really good pick. Dante Hightower, he might only have 1 year left. Juwan Bentley, you're not sure what his situation is going to be moving forward with his contract coming up and the depth that they have at that spot. So Pete Warner will play at some point, right, for the Patriots, and it could be sooner rather than later. Nico Collins, I love this pick. It's a similar way what we did with Tyson Campbell. You trade Gilmore, you draft a corner. We trade N'Keal Harry. Was it the exact pick that we got for N'Keal Harry? I don't think so.
Well, it says we got 124. Oh, I think we traded 124. So we traded N'Keal for 124, and then we traded 124 to move up to 176. Now, I think this was a comp pick. But it's the same. Like, you can kind of see the order that's around where if 124, if we still had 124, we probably would have taken him about there. So
so Nico Collins, traditional X receiver, boundary outside receiver, can go up and get it. But one thing that I really liked about him, watching him at the Senior Bowl during practices, is that he was somebody that could really separate at the line of scrimmage, someone that had really good release package and had that ability. Because when you're a big body receiver, and we talked about this a lot with N'Keal Harry, if you don't move guys off the spot at the line of scrimmage so you can open up your strides and get the ball down and get yourself rolling down the field, then you have a lot of trouble separating at the NFL level. If you can get guys off their spot, move them out of the way, get up the field, get up the sideline, you get them on your back, get them on the hip pocket, then you can go up and adjust and make catches above the rim, right? And that, I think, is what we saw with Nico Collins at the Senior Bowl that I really liked. So I'm excited about that pick as well. Then we went with Puka from Kansas. Again, I think a running back that had much better tape early on in his career than what he ended up finishing at Kansas. I think he was a freshman all-conference type of player. So I think that's a really solid pick there, too. I think he can catch the ball a little bit out of the backfield, too. So I like this draft. I think we did pretty good.
So, I want to say this first, and then I'll make a point. So if you guys have thoughts on our draft, questions on our draft, like put them in the chat. We'll answer a couple specifically about decisions we made, decisions we didn't make, stuff like that. You said on the show, Evan, a couple weeks ago that you wanted to see the Patriots make a focus at the big schools, right? At the big name Blue Bloods.
Yeah, we did that.
Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan, Kansas, LSU.
Not bad.
That is like a half Big Ten draft. We definitely got some SEC flavor in there as well. So we hit all those. And I think even though we did draft for need, I think for a decent amount, realistically, right, we had Kellen Mond at the board at one point, but he wouldn't have been there. We had Amari Rodgers on the board, but he wouldn't have been there. In a realistic view, I think we took the best player on the board more often than not, I think considerably. Maybe Puka Williams we reached for a little bit. Maybe Tyson Campbell we reached for a little bit. But outside of those guys, we were pretty much drafting in the top 5, the top 10 on the board. So
I know you guys. Everyone talked me into Tyson Campbell. I still would have taken my guy from Northwestern there, but it's a mock draft, so I'm not going to cry about it. Maybe just a little bit.
So again, I'm hesitating because I feel like we wanted. We both were all gassed up for Lance, and we didn't. But we'll do different settings next time. Maybe a different simulator. I don't know. So if you guys.
I want to bring up one comment here about our trade to move up, and I'm actually going to we can see everything here. So other simulators had this package go through 15, 46, and a 2022 second. If Justin Fields is still on the board at 7 and the Lions are not going to make that pick at quarterback, I just can't imagine that you're going to get him without trading a future first for him. You know what I mean? That's one first round pick in the package to go up and get him. He's a player, and whether it's Trey Lance or it's Justin Fields with Mac Jones there in the mix as well, these quarterbacks I really do feel like in this year in particular are going to fly off the board. And you're going to be outbid. You're going to have to bid against somebody, right? I don't think you're going to get any of these guys for that type of package. So I actually think that what we got him for was pretty realistic of what the Patriots would actually have to give up. I'm not sure if the Patriots are going to do that, but that's how I sort of feel like they're going to have to do it. And if we do it full screen so people can see exactly what we gave up, it's a lot. We understand it's a lot, but I think that that's what you're going to have to do to get one of these guys. I really just don't feel. Do you agree, Alex? I don't feel like you're going to be able to get them for nothing.
Yeah, I think 2 firsts and 2 seconds is where you start. And we were willing to kind of dip into the 3rd round even once we, when we were trying to get that 6th pick and it didn't work out. I also will say to that person, PFF kind of randomizes it. So I've done drafts on PFF where a trade gets accepted and I go back and try to do the same trade, minutes later. It's not like I wait a week, like minutes later, and it doesn't take it.
Yeah.
So you might have just kind of hit on a lucky draft. And that's the tricky thing with these. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, if Tyson Campbell and Newsome go 42 and 43, who knows how different this draft looks here? Maybe we trade out of 44. So
sure.
I definitely think that can get tweaked. So I'll tell you guys this, like, so I floated the idea. I didn't know how many of these Evan would want to do. I was like, why don't we do this every other week until the draft? Evan wants to do it every week. And I think we could have some fun with it where,
yeah,
you know, maybe there's one where we're not allowed to trade and we just have to pick in the spots. Maybe there's one where we have to trade, although we kind of did trade every pick, but maybe there's one where we have to trade every single pick. Maybe we do one where we're only allowed to take SEC players. We're only allowed to take Big Ten players. We're only allowed to take non-Power 5 players. And we do something like that.
Like the idea of doing one, and we talked about doing a draft where they stick at 15 and then where they trade back in the first round. I think that just doing one where we don't make any trades and we just tonight we kind of wheeled and dealed, right? So one that we don't do any trades and we just kind of take the guys that we feel best fit. You know what I mean? What the Patriots are looking for when the spot that they come up. I think that's a really interesting one, but the Patriots are going to make trades. You know, they're not going to go through a draft with no trades. That's
right.
True. And most drafts, they trade a ton. So,
and we really only made 2-3 trades. We made 3 because we're not including the player for pick ones because we're going to assume those happened before the draft. Yeah. We really only made 3 trades. So,
yeah.
All right. So what I was going to say is if you guys want us to do more of these live mock drafts, just let us know. Because if we don't think you guys like them, we're not going to do them. We want you guys to watch. We want you guys to enjoy it. So, if you want more of these live mock drafts, just, you know, let us know here, let us know on Twitter, wherever.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to post
comments on YouTube.
We can post that screenshot too, Alex.
I'm going to just kind of, you saw me fiddling with it before. I'm going to write in Gilmore and Nikhil just to clarify. And then this is going to go on Twitter so you can see it.
And you guys can tell us how bad we did, but
yeah, we're gonna get ripped for the Fields pick because you don't have the context of who else was on the board.
Right. So maybe we can add some context with the tweets, but we'll definitely. And I just want to reiterate that this is mostly just for fun. We just want to talk about guys.
Yeah,
we want to get guys going. We certainly want to talk through some scenarios as well and be realistic and throw some things out there that maybe we think could be possibilities, but. Mainly the goal of this, don't take it too seriously. We're not out here trying to guess every single Belichick pick. We're just trying to talk some guys through, talk some scenarios through. And I think that this trade up in the first round, if the Patriots are entertaining it, is one that is going to take what we traded up. And I think that it's something that they should entertain, certainly. So that's how we started the show. That's how we'll end the show. Quarterbacks, as always, the Patriots sitting there with Cam Newton. I think that this is a perfect transition, a perfect passing of the baton from Cam to Justin Fields. Makes a lot of sense in the world. Alex, we'll be back on Tuesday. We'll do more of a traditional show on Tuesday, talk some Patriot news, talk some things going into the draft and start previewing some of these positions, previews and things like that. And then we will have another live mock draft or Q&A or something like that on Thursday, like always as well. So thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for those that participated in the chat and it helped us out with some of these picks because it is a lot of people. So sometimes
I want to try to make it more interactive. Maybe on the next one we try to get that in.
So we'll definitely try to make it more accurate. Maybe we'll just do one where we do polls or something like that.
Maybe that, like, we'll do a bunch of these if you guys keep coming. We can do more than one in a show too if we do some more rapid fire.
Absolutely. So until then, we'll be back on Tuesday. Again, Tuesday, regular show, live again, but just a regular podcast. Thursday will be another live mock draft or Q&A, depending on what we feel like you guys want us to do. But until then, signing off for Alex Barth, I'm Evan Lazar. Thanks for watching and participating with us in this, guys. It was really fun.